In this video, I am going to show you how to find the arc length and sector area using radians. Alright, it's actually going to be pretty simple. I'm going to use S to represent the arc length, and it turns out that if you have the angle in radians, alright, and let's say that angle I'm going to call theta, and this is the arc length and this is the radius. The arc length is equal to the radius times the central angle. It has to be in radians. You can't do degrees to use this formula. But if you have radians, nothing could be simpler. Okay, so the radius is 18 and the central angle is 7 pi over 12. So we're just going to basically reduce this fraction. And I like to reduce even before I multiply it to keep the number smaller. I'm noticing that both of these are divisible by 6. So divide 12 by 6, that's 2. Divide 18 by 6, and that's 3. Okay, so that gives us that the arc length is 21 pi over 2. See, now I multiplied 3 times 7, so that's 21 pi over 2. I almost forgot the units, but I'll just leave space in my little rectangle for yards. So this is really, really simple if you have radians. So again, the arc length is the radius times the central angle, as long as the angle is in radians. So this is going to be 9 times 3 pi over 4. There's not even anything to reduce. So we can just go ahead and say the final answer. 3 times 9 is 27, so 27 pi over 4. Almost forgot the units again. Kilometers. Okay, so that's how you do arc length. Now let's talk about sector area. Sector area just has it's just another formula. It's 1/2 the radius squared times theta. So memorize this. Again, this formula is only for when the angle is given to you in radians. If this was in degrees, we'd be out of luck. So, well, I mean, there's other ways we could solve it, but we couldn't use this formula if we had degrees. So let's go ahead. So the area is 1/2. The radius is 13. So that's going to be 13 squared times 2 pi over 3. Okay. Now, if you're a little bit clever about it, then you can save yourself a little bit of time as far as simplifying later. See this 2 in the denominator and this 2 that's in the numerator. These are going to actually cancel each other out. So you would get the same answer if you multiplied it all out and then reduced later. But it's just, in this form, it's so easy to see that they cancel out that it's better. It's easier if you're clever. Anyway, 13 squared. Okay, so that's going to be 169 pi over 3. Almost forgot the units again. This time, this is area, so we're going to say meters squared. Alright, one more problem, and that's it. So again, just straightforward, we're using the formula. So area, sector area, given the central angle in radians, is the radius squared, 1/2 the radius squared times the central angle. That's the formula. Alright, so the sector area is going to equal 1/2 The radius is 12, so 12 squared times the central angle of 7 pi over 4. Okay, so this is 144 times 7 pi over 4. Okay, and there's nothing super obvious for me to cancel out. I could divide 4 into 144 now if I wanted to. You know what, maybe I will do that. How many times does 4 go into 144? Alright, 4 goes into 144 36 times. Okay, so basically I just divided both of these by 4. But the 4 is basically gone. So now, what is 7 times 36? Alright, that's 252. So what we have is 252 pi over 2. But this can be reduced because 252, obviously that's even. So we're talking about 126. Alright, for once I remembered my units before I started making my rectangle. So this is 126 pi square feet. Alright, and that is going to be the end of this video. I hope it was helpful. I will see you on the next video.